Says live. We live, baby.
Hey, we in the building. 330, what's popping? Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's your boy, Dwan Lightfoot. Today, I have a homie, a friend, and all around businessman that's out here getting it. He's an award-winning fruit and vegetable sculptor, owner of Graffiti Carving, featured on the 2015 Holiday Cake Wars and Halloween Wars from 2017, proud member of the American Culinary Federation,
Yes,
2000,
sir.
yes, sir, 2016 Akron Canton chapter, ACF names him the industry chef of the year.
Yes, sir.
Stephan C. Baity, what's popping, family?
What's good, man? We kept that legacy going, man, because we hit it on the 2017 Chef of the Year and 2018 Chef of the Year. So we did it 3 years in a row.
Yo, hey, bro, you out here winning for the city.
Absolutely.
Man, so, man, we have so much to talk about, bro.
We do.
First of all, full disclosure, we from the same city.
Yes.
Graduated from the same school.
Yes.
Did you go to Hartford?
Went to Hartford. I was a Hornet.
Eddie was a Hornet. But you went to Belden, all right?
Went to Belton.
Okay, yeah, I went to the Wash. So
I went to Washington too. Then we moved. Yeah, absolutely.
Man, look, so we really from the dirt. What's up, man?
Yeah. We got roots.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, roots.
Yo, so I saw you like when I first got on social media, like in 2015.
Okay.
And you were creating these sculptures out of like fruit.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like from that, you just like took off.
Yeah.
You want to tell people about who you are, what you do, and all that good stuff?
Yeah. So, it's one of those remarkable things when it comes to identity. I can't say it enough about having an identity, because I think that oftentimes as adults and as young men and young women, we struggle with that idea of our identity. And through the course of seeking our identity, unfortunately, it might lead us into some paths that we don't belong or we don't need to be. And so I struggle with my identity. Me and you talked offline a little bit about being a chef was never my career path. Yeah. And so I didn't know what I was going to do. I was the first one in my family to graduate from high school, so I thought that was it. And so meeting a person from our high school, Rebecca Leibowitz, who changed the course of my life and it introduced me to culinary arts. It was one of those things that I never thought would take me to places and put me in front of people that in this lifetime. And so, what I do is simply self-expression. Graffiti. Well, I grew up on the south side of Canton. I grew up by the Urban League. I grew up in those projects, Highland Park.
Pulley
Hill. Yeah. And so some of the first form of art I ever saw was graffiti. And so, and that's why when I named it Graffiti Carving, is that graffiti is all about tagging. And so when I put some of my art on social media, people be like, that's Baity. That gotta be Steve. And so it's about tagging this industry and finding my niche and letting that be my identity. So anytime graffiti carving, I'm posting something, I'm tagging it. That's my style, my freestyle, and how I sculpt and manipulate a medium. And then fast forward when my dad passed away, that's when the Stephan C. Baity brand, because I was named after my father, and so I wanted his legacy to continue. And so people fell in love with the art of me, the chef of me, but they enjoyed the person. And right. So that's when the Stephan C. Baity brand. So that's why a lot of time you see that thing commingled together. So yeah, it's all about art, self-expression, and a whole identity. And this is who I am, and I'm unapologetic about it.
Man, hey, you're doing it great, man. You're doing it big. Salute, bro.
Yes, sir.
So I got a question.
Yeah.
how do you balance being a chef, an award-winning chef, and like when I think of chef, I think of somebody that cooks
Yeah.
or prepares meals or do his meal plan, something along those lines.
Mhm.
How do you balance graffiti and what you do as art and being a chef?
Yeah. So, it's that's a great question because I tell young culinarians is that they think all it is sweating on the line, working in a restaurant till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Um, but there's so many forms of culinary arts. That's why it's called culinary arts
Right.
that you can get involved in, and you can find your niche, and then you can manipulate that thing. Because I say all of us has a God gene in us when we're born, and that God gene allows us to be creative. All right, and allows us to be the follower of our destiny. And so when it comes to culinary arts, is that when you take your hands and your mind connect and it's fueled by your heart, man, that's how I'm able to take the culinary part that I do food wise and do some really dope hot food and then take the side of me that's graffiti and just really balance it out. And so it's all about just being able to be you and just pursue it and just be unapologetic with it. But yet, food for me is a ministry,
Mm,
and like I said, I've encountered people all across this globe and touched lives from people that I have never met, but yet they know my story and now they're encouraged. And
right.
so that's what food has been able to do to me is that someone from China or friends that I have in Russia through social media, or the list goes on and on, they're like, man, you taught yourself how to carve. Now, I'm about to get me a carrot and sculpt it.
Yeah. Hey, we were talking offline. We were talking offline, and you mentioned that I think you did your first sculpture. What, like you started 12 years ago or something like that?
Like 15 years
15.
ago. Yeah, 15, 16 years ago, something like that crazy.
And what drove you to trying that? Like, what inspired you to say, okay, I'm gonna start carving?
So I'm gonna tell you, there's a gentleman that I'm gonna name drop because he means that much to me. His name is Dave Hennis.
Okay.
Dave Hennis owns a nursing home. He owns two of them. And as a 19-year-old man, young man, this guy gave me the keys to his kitchen.
Oh,
And he interviewed me. Mind you, I had never been in a leadership position ever. I never did inventory, a schedule. I never did a food purchase. Never really wrote a menu. I had never worked in a nursing home,
right.
and so, but I saw the opportunity to be a leader, and I took it. And so we were doing a banquet, and I wanted to find a way to separate myself from the rest of the other culinarians. And I literally used a pumpkin carving book and I used it on a watermelon. And so I poked the holes, rubbed it with flour, had the little saw, and I used it. And Dave was like, man, that's remarkable. I mean, I really like that. And so every event that I did, I tried to use a pumpkin carving kit on a watermelon.
Wow.
And so, but then Halloween came and went, and so did all my gimmicks. I didn't have no more patterns. I had no more little pumpkin carving tools, and so I Googled fruit and vegetable carving,
Mm.
and I saw the style, Thai style that I carve today, and which I've been known for. And dude, I started ordering books from China, Japan, from the Philippines. They're not in English, but I would study the pictures, yo, and I would practice it on my front porch.
Hey man, that's fire, bro.
Yeah,
Man, it's a blessing when you're you're met with a challenge and you embrace it, and then through that challenge, of never being a leader, never doing inventory, you actually find yourself and step into something that you're really good at.
yeah, yeah. It's funny. I called myself working out recently, and I'm a little bad. Like, I'm skinny. I'm aerodynamic. I'm a small guy. But my trainer was like, "You're gonna hurt tomorrow," and I
Mm,
was like, "All right, all right." I mean, but I woke up and I couldn't move. Like, and I called him. I was like, "Is this normal?" And he says, "I'm gonna tell you. You know you're doing something right because you're working out muscles that in your day-to-day life you don't work out." And
mm,
he says when you begin to be sore and it hurts and it makes you uncomfortable, that's when true growth and transformation takes place. And
mm,
he says, you build muscle because your muscles tear and they heal themselves. They tear, then they heal themselves. And every time they tear and heal, they become stronger and
mm.
they become more resilient. And that's how you build muscle through the process of tearing yourself and breaking yourself down and rebuilding yourself time and time again. And so that's the same thing when it comes to the industry. Anything that you face is that you got to tear yourself down and allow yourself to heal and rebuild. And that's how you become stronger and you build that muscle.
Hey man, that's a fire analogy.
Yeah.
Like that is so fire because it hit
Flame on.
like real talk. Because in business, when you're trying to build, like let's say a brand, you got
Hmm.
to do a lot of things. It's painful and you don't want to do. And
Yeah.
the way you broke that down is a perfect analogy for that.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you something else that I tell cats who are if you're trying to build a brand, is that you got to learn to master disappointment.
Mm,
You gotta learn to math because you're gonna get rejected so many times. There's so many doors are gonna close in your face. I mean, it's unreal.
yeah,
I mean, it is unreal how many times you're gonna hear the word no, and people are gonna say, you know what, we'll get back to you.
right.
That type of stuff, or they let you down, whatever the case might be. And if you let that get in your heart and take root and start to grow and fester, you're never going to be able to get to your next level. And so you got to learn to master when people tell you no, or you're not good enough,
Yeah,
or maybe you should wait a little bit longer. Like, no, I'm ready now. And so,
facts.
yeah, yeah. And you got to learn to master disappointment. And so that's one thing as a young black man. If you turn on the television, any culinary program, you don't see people of color like that. And I don't care. You can Google fruit and vegetable carving and tell me how many black people you see carving.
You,
And so, when you introduce yourself as a fruit and vegetable carver, people go, What are you carving?"
right.
And so, when you don't see no one like you out there, you got to learn to master disappointment because you got to go, "Okay, let me show you."
Yeah, you got to. Hey, that's a great point. That's a great
Yeah.
point.
Hmm.
Now I saw you. You was cooking up vegan food with John Sally.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that looked like um a really good time, man. How
Yeah.
how does it feel like being from Canton and being
Yeah.
around like people like John Sally, being on the Food Network, being at you cook for Michael Jordan.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because I always hear the excuse that like if you're from a certain area, if you're from a certain place, that you can't make it,
Right.
or you can only have a certain job. Um, I believe greatness will find you. I, I'm a firm believer. And what does it mean? Simply, it's a great verse that my boy Dave always likes to tell me is faith without works is dead.
Right.
Great. So I know a lot of people who got faith that they're gonna become something great and they're gonna do this and yada yada yada. But the other part of that is works. You gotta work.
Right.
All right. Is that faith don't work unless you work it.
Hey,
It really is that simple. And so for my career, and I've always looked at it as a ministry and not a paycheck. And I think because if you look at your career as a paycheck, you're gonna sell yourself to the highest bidder, and you're gonna miss out on a lot of great opportunities.
mhm,
And so I've used it as a ministry. And with that being said, people are attracted to people who want to help them reach their goals.
right.
And that's how I've been partnering with a John Sally, with a Michael Jordan, and the list just goes on and on of a lot of the celebrities I've had a chance to cook for and engage. And it's because like I view what I do as a ministry, not as a paycheck that I'm trying to do.
Man, that's what's up. So, like, what drives you to keep going where you're going? Because right now, like, you're doing a lot of big things, man.
Yeah.
So, what drives you to just keep it going and all that good stuff?
So I'm gonna tell you, and this is gonna sound really cheesy, but this is the God honest truth: is that I don't tell the story very often, and probably only a handful of people in my life know this, but a lot more people are about to find out.
Right.
Is that my first child was conceived and passed away,
Mhm.
and so
So,
I'm gonna tell you, as a man, when you're about to have your first child and you got the room decorated, you got the crib there, and you go to have that baby, and that baby is born deceased, it does something to you.
yeah, dude.
And me and Lynette, we went through a dark time with that. As far as our relationship and just what that looks like, and that every day to wake up and look across your bedroom and see an empty crib, just it hurts.
Yeah.
And so then Seth was born, my son, my firstborn.
Right.
And Seth means God has given us a second chance.
Mm.
Middle name is Alexander. God has given us a second chance to have a conqueror of men.
Whew. That's fine.
And so, I one night I was sitting there. I remember this night, and this is why I can tell people this is what my drive is that I was sitting there rocking my son in a recliner, and I'm just rocking him to sleep, and I'm speaking words of affirmation over my son and telling him he can be everything he wants to be. He's gonna conquer the world. He's gonna take over. Your name is Seth Alexander. And I had a sense of conviction that came over my heart and said, Steve, how are you gonna tell your son as his father that he can do anything he wants, and you've never taken a chance in yours?
Mm.
And I was the biggest hypocrite as a father holding my son. Yeah, real talk. And so that's when I entered my first fruit and vegetable carving competition as a no name. Graffiti wasn't born. I was just me. And I said, you know what? I gotta give my son the example of what it looks like as a man to have reckless faith and abandon fear and go after that, because I want my son to look and be like, my dad did it. I don't know how my dad did it, but he taught himself. We ate fruit and vegetables. My dad was carving and sculpting, and my dad did it. So I'm gonna figure out a way to do it because my dad did
Hey, bro.
it.
No, man, like our story is crazy. You know, me and my wife, we lost our firstborn as well. So my heart definitely goes out to you. I changed a lot of who I am as a man when I had my son.
Mhm.
The things I used to do, it was like, how can I tell him not to do this or to do this? Just
Mhm.
like you, like if I don't do this or if I'm still doing this, you know what I mean? Like, it's something about for me to actually being able to walk the talk and not just being somebody that just say, yo, don't do that. Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, I've never been that person, man. And so, like, your story just it's powerful, bro. Like, it's
Yeah.
powerful.
It took a while to be able to tell people, without crying, without showing emotion, and without, feeling some type of way about it. So I just hope and pray that this story helps someone that, whether they had the loss of a child, how they bounce back, or how they face adversity, and, how they pursue their dreams and their passions and their goals. Because at the end of the day, when you look in that mirror, that's your competition right there.
Facts.
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 Man.
And and through the course of this all is that's what I'm learning is that I'm my only competition
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
Yeah, because what God has for you is for
Mhm.
you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Is so much truth in that statement. I mean, it's a fact.
Hmm.
Yo, so where do you see yourself, man? Where do you want to go? Like you've accomplished so much, and I know it's so much more to accomplish, but
Man, so here's where it gets tricky in my mind is that everything that I've accomplished, it was never on the radar.
mm,
Never on the radar. And so I think sometimes that's where faith is so scary, man, is that the man, so my goal was never to be on the Food Network. So
right.
word of mouth, someone was talking about me. They saw my social media, and then a producer from the Food Network called me. It was like, "Yo, you want to be on the Food Network?" And I'm like, I thought someone was playing a joke on me. And so you fast forward, I'm on the Food Network, and anyone who watched my first Food Network challenge, I bombed.
Mm,
I failed miserably that first challenge in front of millions of people.
right.
And so when I talk about learning to master disappointment, it's not like a little nice catchy line I like to say, but my first Food Network appearance in front of millions of people in multiple countries, in front of my family, my hometown, everyone will support me. I failed. And so, you go back, and then we ended up winning the competition.
Yeah.
But then, I got the second call from the Food Network saying, "Hey, we're doing another show." I do that show. Then, the ACF reaches out and says, hey, you've been nominated for Industry Chef of the Year. Then I win. Then ACF reaches out the next year. Hey, you've been nominated again for the Chef of the Year. I win that. Then a third year, they reached out to me. Hey, you've been nominated. And I win that, and then, there's other, so many awards that I've won. And from a humility standpoint, these has never been on the roadmap, dude. But I'm a firm believer is that, whatever you do in secret, God will reward you openly. And so when I'm sitting here at my dining room table or on my porch and I'm sculpting and I'm practicing and I'm sculpting and I'm practicing, or I'm in the kitchen and I'm cooking and I'm tasting, when those opportunities come for me to shine, I've been ready.
Right.
And so I think you get out of it what you put in yourself. That's the laws of banking. So if you go to Chase and you put money in your account, you can go to the ATM and you can take some money out.
Right.
But if you ain't got no money in that account and you overdraw it, there's penalties and fees that are associated with it. And so I think that's the same thing when you don't self-invest and you don't practice and you don't grind and you don't work out, is when it comes time for the big dance and you ain't been prepared, then you ain't gonna get anything good out of it.
Right. Right.
And so I think what I've been doing secretly is just been able to manifest itself openly.
Man, hey, bruh, I'm gonna have to pay you for this interview because you dropping jewels like crazy out here.
Yeah. So that's where I'm going, man. I think at the end of the day, man, I've been enjoying the ride.
Yeah.
Like I really have been enjoying the ride, and I've been enjoying being me. Like, and as simple as that sounds, is because I hated myself, dude. I hated my self-image. I didn't think I was a good enough chef. You got to remember, I was a self-taught sculptor, so my stuff was garbage when it first came out. I was competing, I wasn't winning.
Right.
I was taking that consolation prize. But I'm on the other side of it, of what it looks like 15 years plus being in this industry, self-investing and practicing and grinding. When I say grinding, I mean like bad breaks, grinding like a pepper mill. I've been grinding at this thing. And when I've had to, real talk, I've had to miss some of my kids' events because I'm at an event or I'm at a competition or I'm out of town or whatever the case might be. But those are some of the sacrifices I've made to be where I'm at. And so I don't know where I'm gonna be. I don't know, because honestly, I was in talks with a company to have my own TV show. But then you know what? 6 months later, the phone calls. They stopped calling. They stopped emailing. We stopped brainstorming. I thought I was gonna have my own TV show. I thought this was my big break. And then 6 months later, they stopped calling. And so you never know. Mastering disappointment.
True story, man. Man, like no,
dog.
no, I feel you. And I was going to say, and it's crazy that you say that. With everything that you have going on, some people have that. Is it the power of yes? Like say yes to everything mentality. Do you pick and choose what you want to do, or if something's presented to you, you're like, all right, God, let's go. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, man, that's a great question. I'm gonna tell people this is that just because you're busy doesn't mean you're productive. All right. Just because your schedule is full doesn't mean that you're where you need to be. And cats go, are you serious? I'm gonna tell you right now is that as a chef, as a caterer, I'm gonna take catering because I can speak to it, is that you can book a whole bunch of $8 a person gigs and run yourself to the ground. And guess what? You ain't making no cake. You ain't making no money.
Right.
But you busy, you booked. And people are gonna keep booking you for those $8 a person gigs. All right. Because people like a deal, they like a steal. All right. And that kind of word of mouth spreads. All right. But you got to learn to be able to say, this is my value and this is what I'm worth. And you got to add tax to it and say, you know what? I ain't taking another gig unless you pay me X amount of money. And guess what? You might only have 4 gigs that whole year, but those are the 4 gigs you deserve. All right. Yeah. Like real talk. Like I'm being completely honest. And so, because is that you got to set standards for yourself. You got to take yourself serious. If you want people to take you serious, you got to look at yourself and be like, you know what? I'm worth this.
Yeah.
All right. Because this is what we do. We're as consumers, we shop around. We'll drive to 6 stores just to save 10 cents. We'll walk past $1 to pick up a dime
Right.
because we're silly like that because we feel we got the upper hand. And so I'm at this point in my career where someone might hit me up and I'm like, what's it for? Does it have a community outreach part to it? It
Man.
don't. So it's just this. No, no, thank you. Just to make $500? No, thank you. I'm not interested. But oh, you guys will be in the hood. Oh, we showing inner city kids what art is like. Oh, I'm gonna go make $200. You know what? Reinvest the whole thing. I'm showing up. Don't even worry about me. And so that's where you gotta get to the point from where you gotta know your value and understand just because you're busy doesn't mean you're being productive. Set your price, add tax, and that's what gigs will get to you. And then you'll grow from there.
Facts, bro. Hey, salute to you because people often say it's not many of us doing it out there that's giving back, but I think it's more so you don't see it as often. You know what I mean? The platforms aren't always promoting people that's like you. Like, yo, I do it for free. Just let me know what it be. If we're inspiring people that look like us and people that's from where we from, let's go
Mhm.
out there and do it. If we can
Yeah,
save somebody's life from making the wrong decision and showing them like this ain't the route you got to go, let's make it happen.
yeah, and I believe you know what I think there's I'm not a farmer, but I do know something about farming, and I'm gonna tell you this: you plant a seed, you water it, you give it time to mature, and you have a harvest. I think that's simple laws of now. There's probably some other things that rotating the soil and pollinating. I don't know some other stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know the basics. You plant the seed in the dirt, cover it in the dirt, put some water on it, let it get some sun, let it mature, and you're gonna have a harvest. And I think that's the same thing when it comes to careers, entrepreneurship, and branding. Is that there's only two things in this world we're supposed to do biblically. Bible says one plants, one waters, God gives the increase. So I think in this life, only thing you're supposed to be doing is either planting or watering someone else's seed. Either you planting your own seed or someone's supposed to be watering your seed. And I think you got to find those times in life is when you're supposed to be watering someone else's seed or when you're supposed to be letting someone water you. All right. Which is a whole nother thing as far as accepting help. Because sometimes we strong, I don't need no one's help. But sometimes you got to be watered. All right. You got to get some water yourself. And so I think and when it comes to business, it's the same thing. Either you got to find a way to plant or find a way to water and let God get the increase.
Hey, hey, bro, I'm gonna pause. But but on this interview, you definitely watered me, bro. Like, and I'm sure other people that's watching this interview have been watered as well. Like, thank you, man. The
Yeah.
things that you shared, um, yeah. Hey, thanks, bro.
Yeah. I mean, like I told you, man, this is me hard knocks, man. This is me growing up in the projects. This is me having a failed marriage. This is me having a daughter pass away. This is me being embarrassed on national television. This is me making a lot of mistakes, going broke. This is me just having a lot of failures, but willing to learn from
Yeah, yeah,
them.
yeah. Hey, and it's relatable, man. It's
Yeah,
relatable,
yeah, real talk.
man. Yo. So we're from Canton, and
Yeah,
I don't think a lot of people know what that actually means.
yeah.
Um, it's it's not an easy place to grow up.
No, it's not.
There's not a lot of options. I don't know, man. Like it's inspiring to see you where you are and just doing it, man. Knowing that, oh, I know they do. Like we grew up together. You know what I mean?
I think I read that Canton is top 5 small most violent cities in the country.
Yeah, it's been like that forever. Yeah,
Yeah, and I just know from personal experience, there's a local Kent rapper, John P.
yeah.
He's a junior, but I remember when his father was executed, his father was murdered. And I remember as a young man that was 12 years old, I went and watched his father take his last breath. in the hospital because his father meant that much to me, man. His father would stop by and drop off shoes and clothes, would bring me food, like because we grew up in the projects, we didn't have it, but
Right,
his dad always looked out for me. And now I see John P as a grown man who's doing his thing, who is positive,
right.
and but he's finding a way to find opportunities being from Canton also. And I think it's our responsibility as people, as individuals like yourself, to show that guess what, this is where we from. I ain't trying to sugarcoat it, but guess what? You could be so much more, and you can't use that. I'm from here, so I can't make it. Nah.
Facts, man. It, I think, being in tech, Canton is one of those places to where there's not many jobs. And so
Mhm,
I can really relate to someone that's in a city where they want to do a certain career field and those opportunities aren't there. Or
mhm,
they're few far in between because nobody's retiring, nobody's quitting their jobs. So it's one of those things where you got to just kind of keep grinding and create your own life. I mean,
mhm.
you've done it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
You
You gotta be uncomfortable. D. I think at the end of the day is that you gotta be willing. At 17 years old, dude, I moved to Pittsburgh and started culinary school at 17 years old. And so you got to be willing to step outside your comfort zone.
yeah.
The reason why Canton sometimes I think is the way that it is that people don't want to step out of their comfort zone. So they just choose to be a cancer and make the city worse because they don't become better themselves. You know,
Yeah.
that's
I,
what I think.
yeah, I agree. But at the same time, man, I was talking to a young dude the other day, and he was talking about, being from the hood and how it ain't that much opportunity. And then I told him I'm a network engineer. And he's like, "Oh, you're a network engineer?" He's like, "Yeah, I don't know any I don't know a network engineer." And, and that's the thing. People get certain job titles and get in certain positions and they move up out the hood and oftentimes they'll never come back.
Yeah,
So I think it's about just people coming back and saying, "Yo, this is what I do,"
yeah,
and not even coming back to give a handout, but just to show face. You know what
yeah.
I mean? Just to show face to be like, "Yo, it's other things outside of this 10-mile radius that you in all day." You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. I remember when they wrote the article when I won the Food Network Challenge. I was invited out to Las Vegas
Hmm.
to have the big reveal, and I says no. I came flew back to Canton, and I have the party, and I had the big reveal party in Canton, Ohio. That's how important it was to me.
Yeah,
You know, I think you're spot on about those cats. They need to come back and show face.
yeah,
That have done some great things, and I can only speak for myself. Even at August, I partner with the Junior League of Stark County. I partner with the multicultural arts of Stark County also, and I'm coming back and I'm sculpting and part for a fundraiser. I'm coming back to show face and I'm sculpting, I'm helping to raise funds. I partner with Pathway Caring for Children to foster care, for some of their annual events. And I carve, I cook, I sign autographs, meet and greets, or whatever. So I think when you get to a certain level in your career, if you're a public figure, is that you should give back and you show
yeah,
face. But someone like you could be you do ghost work that no one will ever see, no one will ever do and give you credit for. And so I think, there's other ways to give back without you always having to be physically present.
yeah, yeah, for sure, bro, for sure. Hey, so what words of encouragement do you have for those who's been watching the
Yeah.
interview?
I think that make yourself vulnerable. Um, beyond food, like I said, I mean, you was talking, I failed a lot in life, and that sometimes people think they own an island by themselves. And that's one of the worst place mentally to be, is that when you think that you're the only one going through this, that you're the only one that's encountered this, and chances are you haven't.
Yeah,
And I think tell your story. Tell your story. Get any chance you can get to talk about your failures, talk about your victories, talk about your struggles, talk about whatever it is that you've overcome. Do that, because even though someone might not give you credit to say, "Man, I'm going through the same thing," they're gonna take those nuggets with you.
mm,
You know, I always tell I like to close any presentation I do, and I tell this little tidbit about it's called Push the Rock. And I tell about a young man who was praying one night and he asked God about the fact that he wanted to become a chef. Let's just say that. And God said, all right, you want to be a chef? Go down to the middle of town. There's a big rock. Go push that rock. And so this young man who wanted to be a chef goes down to the middle of town, downtown Canton, and he pushes this rock. But this rock is huge, man, and it's obvious that he doesn't have the strength to push this rock. But every day he goes and pushes this rock for weeks, for months, for years. He pushes this rock. The rock don't move. But at this time, people are laughing at him. They're taking pictures. They update their social media, talk about, man, look at Baity down here pushing this rock. Dude is crazy. Doesn't he know he's not strong enough to move this big rock? So one day, he gets tired. He says, I'm done. I quit. I'm over this. And God looks at him and he says, still want to be a chef? He said, yeah, but I don't know what that rock was for. He says, listen, the rock was never going to move. He says, then why you have me push the rock? He says, look how strong your back is from pushing that rock. Now you can bear the weight of what it's going to take for you to get to the next level. He says, look how strong your legs are and your muscles, how they've been conditioned now and they're showing from you pushing this rock every single day. Now you have endurance to finish the race that's ahead of you. Look how strong your arms is now that now you can grab a hold of everything that I have for you. He says, and look at your skin, how tough it is from being able to handle criticism of people talking about you. He says, the point of the rock wasn't for you to be able to move it. It was to make you a better you and prepare you for your journey. All right. And so those are my words of encouragement. Push the rock.
Hey, that's powerful, bro. That's powerful. I told you, man, you've been dropping jewels this whole entire interview. Jewels, man. 330 in the building right now. Canton in the building, man.
We got to do this more often, man.
Just say the word. Just say the word, and I'll make it happen, bro.
Yes, sir.
We can bring some other folks on we know.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And just, man, yo, thanks, bro.
Thank you, man. Look, without you, this doesn't happen, man. So you got to congratulate yourself and you got to salute yourself, man, because without you, this platform doesn't exist. Without you, my story doesn't get out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, all your contact, your socials will be in the description. Any of them you want to share right now before we out?
Yeah. Once again, push the rock, man. Unapologetic, keep the faith, sow seeds, water cats, and grow this thing.
Facts. Peace.
Peace.